Oh. Okay, so let me do a little housekeeping as I jump on, because number one, if you know me and you follow me, you know I'm never ready when I start these lives. Hi guys, Dahlia Deering here, and I am a brand new children's book author. I'm actually an authorpreneur. I have 4 books to date, and my children's book company is centered around 3 core principles. 1, being teaching children how to celebrate their differences together. 2, to help them enhance critical thinking skills. And 3, to help them enhance their self-love and self-acceptance. So I wanted to get that out of the way. That one was not as great as I like it to be, but as promised, anytime that I get on here, I have promised you guys that I'm going to working on my 30-second introduction so that it can get better when I'm talking to people in person. So I wanted to get that out of the way. Today, we are going to be talking about how to build your brand and how to sell your children's books using social media. Okay, so I want to get on here. I want to talk to you guys about the tips and the things that I've learned and how do I help you out. One of the things that I want to actually do first is let you know that I have a few things that I want to get through. As I promised, I'm going to give you 5 tips. What I want to do today is I want to get through the 5 tips, and then once I'm through the 5 tips, any questions or concerns that you have, I want to go ahead and get those, start taking those and talking. And then people can even actually join me on live today if they want to. But the first thing I want to do is go ahead and get these 5 tips and my thoughts on this process out of the way. Okay? So, without further ado, the first thing I want to make sure you guys understand, and I'm going to probably pin it, or I'm not gonna lie, I probably won't pin it right now, but eventually I'll pin it, or I'll have someone else to pin it up here for me, is to let people know that the word of this live is consistency. Okay, that is going to be the biggest and most important part of all the things that we go through tonight. Consistency, that is the word. So if there's ever anything that I talk about out of all these 5 points, I want you to always relate it back to doing them consistently. Okay, so again, the word of today's live is consistency. All right, now first things first, when you're trying to establish your brand on social media and build it, the first thing you need to do is claim your name. You need to establish a name for your brand. What is the brand that you're trying to get your audience to connect to? So here's some things I want to tell you about that, because I made some mistakes with my company already with it, but I've been able to recover nicely. Number 1 is you need to figure out what your name is and how you want your brand to be associated. For me, I started a children's book company, and I knew I wanted to be a children's book author by the time that I was joining social media and trying to get myself set up. So with that in mind, I knew that I needed to have a brand name, and I had one. My brand name is Fawn Fables. It is simple, it is quick, it is something that everyone can remember. One of the most important things about establishing your brand and your brand name is it needs to be something that people can easily remember, because the crowd that you're trying to reach, the dollars that you're trying to get, the people that you're trying to bring in do not know you. So they're not going to be using your name or the name of your company on a daily basis yet. They need to establish a relationship with that name. Therefore, it needs to be something that they can remember, and it needs to relate to what your brand is so that it comes to mind when they think of you easily. So let's go with an example. Like I said, my brand's name is Fawn Fables. I did that because fawns are baby deers. The theme of my brand is deers. And fables are an example of storytelling and moralistic stories, which is a lot of what my brand is. So to me, having a brand called Fawn Fables made sense, and it was easy to get. Now, once I realized that, it was easy to remember. Once I realized that was the name I wanted, what I should have all the way done is I needed to look it up. I went on, and you guys can take notes on this. First, I wanted to know if there had ever been a company where I was establishing what is now an LLC named Fawn Fables. I went to LegalZoom.com to look this up. That is free. You can go right on there and look up, before you create a brand, before you get people attached to something, is that brand name available? Yes, I went on there and that was available. That was awesome. Then I went on to GoDaddy.com. You can use any of the other ones to establish a domain, which is what your website is, which is whatever.com. I went to GoDaddy to establish and buy mine. It is very simple steps for that. We can talk about that later, but make sure you remember GoDaddy.com is where you would get that. I went on there and I was able to check and see if fawnfables.com was available. Yes, it was available, and it was affordable to purchase for 2 to 3 to 4 years. So I did that. That's where I stopped and I made a mistake. I went on next. When I did was to go, I went to gmail.com, because as soon as I found out those things were available, I went ahead and bought them. I was super excited. I should have checked all of the things first, so I ran into some issues. I went on to Gmail, and fawnfables@gmail.com was not available. But I had already purchased the LLC. I had already purchased the website. So this is one of the things that I say, and this is number one. When you're establishing your brand and claiming your name, choose all of the basic methods that people are going to go through to contact you first. Make sure the name is easily remembered, and make sure it's available across all of them. So now I get to gmail.com. I know that's where I want to work. I want to use Google Docs. There's so much stuff I want to do on there. And LegalZoom had also suggested, and I bought Google Workspace for where I was going to work. So I had an issue, because I'm on Google, and fawnfables.com is not, fawnfables@gmail.com is not available. And I'm like, I have to have this. Luckily, Fawn Fables LLC was available, so that still was on brand for me, so I was able to use that. That made me feel good. So now I've established that I've got the LLC at fawnfables.com is mine. I've got the fawnfables@LLC@gmail is mine. Then I get on Instagram, because again, I did not check, which is why I'm encouraging everybody, for the first step in establishing your brand is claiming your name, to go through all channels first before you put your name on anything. Make sure everything is available. So I go on Instagram to go to Fawn Fables to claim my name, and it's not available. And not only is it not available, and please forgive me, y'all can check this person, and they can have a difference in opinion, but that person who had that name was not somebody that I wanted associated with my brand. It's not too bad, but I just did not. I'm trying to sell children's books. That is what my brand is about. This person had no idea of that. They claimed the name well before me, and what their content was did not agree with what I was. But unfortunately, I was stuck at that point. I had already taken all the other steps. However, Fawn Fables LLC on Instagram was available, so I was able to stay on brand that way. Ideally, though, the whole point of establishing your brand and claiming your name first, you need to be consistent. So in a perfect world, to me, in the proper world for branding, I would like to be fawnfables.com. I would like to be fawnfables@gmail.com. I would like to be simply Fawn Fables on Facebook and Instagram. But because I did not check all of those things first, in some realms, I'm Fawn Fables LLC, and then my .com is just fawnfables.com. So that to me is a little inconsistent, but it's fine. But I'm just telling you, in a perfect world, you want to be as consistent across the board as possible. So the first step in establishing your brand is going to be, number one, claiming your name. And in order to do that, you're again going to come up with a name that is easy to remember. Then once you come up with your name that is easy to remember, you're going to make sure that anywhere that anybody is going to look for you on a platform that you plan to be active and you plan for them to communicate with, that name needs to be available. That's the first thing when you're establishing your brand, okay? Now that you've claimed your name, you've established your brand. Wait, and actually let me go back. I did half of that. So that is me establishing my brand as a brand because I knew I was creating a company. I want to help people too who may not be creating a company. You are just a children's book author. You have written one children's book and you want to talk about your one book. You want your audience and everybody to connect to your book, so it may not be a brand. So let's give you an example of that. If your book is called Black History Month Book, let's just say that's what it's called. I don't know if that exists. This is not about that. I'm just giving you an example. Your book is called Black History Month Book. That's the name of your book. Is that the brand or the name that you want your audience to connect with? If so, then that needs to be everywhere that they're looking for your book. I see different authors doing it different ways. I see it work sometimes. I will tell you from what I'm learning with branding, my day job is in marketing. I do not suggest that. I'm being honest. If you have an option and you cannot do that, don't do that. And what I'm saying don't do is do not put your book in that you want your audience to connect with under other names. That to me is going to be difficult. So if you are Black History Book is what you want people to connect with, your Gmail needs to be blackhistorybook@gmail.com or whatever your website or your email is. It needs to be blackhistory at Gmail or whatever. It needs to be blackhistory.com for your domain. On IG, you need to be Black History Book. On Facebook, you need to be Black History Book. I see a lot of authors who have one book that they're championing, but the book is under their personal name as an author. I don't agree with that because now people have to know your name and remember your name to get to your book and your product. That will work considerably for people who know you in your network. But if an author is what you're championing, if that is your main claim to fame, you're creating an extra step and an extra hurdle between you and your desired audience and target market. For example, if the author of the Black History book that we're talking about, that I made up, if it's a thing, please forgive me, I'm just giving you an example. Jack Hillsdon Free is his last name. If he has this book under Jack Hillsdon Free, and Dunn has 2 N's, at .com, okay, is where you go and find this book, and all things Jack Hillsdon Free, people not going to remember that. They're not going to, unless they are seeing it in their face all the time. You are definitely making it where a person is having a hard time, especially if you just meet people in conversation, to remember and how to get your books. That's going to be hard. But if you're having a conversation with somebody and it's a real opportunity, you can't pull up your phone at that time. You can't exchange. And everybody's like, when is there opportunities like that? Trust me, as an entrepreneur, you will run into a lot of opportunities where you just have FaceTime with the person and you're just trying to establish a relationship and they want to know things about you. If it's a name that they can remember, like blackhistorybook.com or that's stuff that they can think of. So even if they don't pull their phone out when they're talking to other people about you because you left such an awesome impression, they're not fumbling to try to figure out how to spell that and find your content. It's simple for them. I don't remember the author's name, but I do know that the book was called blackhistorybook.com and I loved it. Or Black History Book. Let me just look it up on any platform to see. And boom, right there. It happens to me all the time. I see a book, I like a book, I hear somebody else likes a book, and I think to myself, I can't remember who the author was, but I'm just going to put that book in the internet and see what pops up. Easy. But if your book is under all things Jack Hillsdon Free, you know, I can barely say that's a problem. Okay, so that's an extra wedge you're putting between you and your audience. So please, if you are at a point where you can establish and start from the beginning and your book is the brand, then make sure that you are consistent. Remember, that is the name of this that's the word of this live. Your book is consistent across the board. Okay, so now that we've claimed the name, we've figured out the name, we've got it everywhere, it's established. The next thing we need to ask ourselves now is, what is the message of your book? What is the message of your brand? What is your book a resource for? I'm going to get on here, like I tell everybody, that's my disclaimer. I'm going to get on here and tell you about being a children's book author because that's my business. That's what I know how to do. But you can take any of these principles, if they work for you as an entrepreneur and anything else, and apply them. So let's talk about being a children's book author. One thing I've learned about being a children's book author is you have two audiences that you're appealing to, correct? Children normally don't have any money. They don't have a lot of money, okay? And so you need to appeal to the parent first so that the parent can bring the book to the home to get it to the child, okay? That's the goal. That's to get it to the fawn. That's what I call them. So that's the goal. With that in mind, your book then needs to be appealing to the parent. So your book needs to do what for a parent? Solve a problem. Your book needs to do something for their child. If they have a fawn and their fawn is just not being friendly, they don't like to share, and you have a book about sharing, you are helping that parent solve a problem. That is why they're attracted to your book. That's why they're going to buy your book. Do you see what I'm saying? So what is the message behind your brand? If your brand is about sharing is caring, whatever the case may be, your brand's tagline, what your brand is thought of, what your brand's promise is, that all needs to have to do with sharing and the messages of your book. You need to establish that. At the end of this live, I'm going to remember, and y'all remind me because I get so excited and I forget, but I will not forget this time. Or if I do, y'all remind me. Oh, I am going to put in, at the bottom all of the YouTube people, YouTube personalities, and influencers that I follow to help me develop some of these things so that you can see some of the terms that I'm using in deeper detail, because I'm going to go through a few. What we're talking about right now is establishing your message for your brand. So these things are going to be called your brand promise. What is your brand promising? What should a person always receive no matter where they are? Like green eggs and ham. If it's in a boat, if it's in a float, wherever the case may be, and they have your brand in hand, what should they always consistently get? That is your brand promise. But to learn more about that, you're going to go to a YouTube video called Branding 101, and it is an hour and about 15 minutes long, and it is a heavy hitter, and it is going to give you so much. It took me about 2 weeks to get through that video, writing notes, so on and so forth, but I learned so much, and now I'm able to sit in front of you, and I've made a good amount of money because I have done that. So I would recommend, it's on YouTube, it's for free. You know, I typically am trying to give you free resources. Go on YouTube and find the YouTube called Branding 101 and watch it. And it's going to tell you about what I'm listing for you right now. Your branding promise. It's going to tell you about your brand drivers, okay? And it's going to help you establish your brand message, all right? These are the things that you need to establish when you first, so we're still in number one, your first tip, which is establishing your brand and claiming your name. You need to get your name, make it memorable, and then you need to establish what your brand message is. What are you a resource for? You need to know this and you need to find consistency with that. I just want to jump on here and interject real quick. I'm in the middle of trying to take my nails off because I'm a writer. I wear the nails because I have appearances, and then it bothers me while I'm typing, so I'm trying to take it off. So what we're not going to do is we're not going to judge me, okay? I want to get that out of the way. I want to let you know, all right? Struggle's real. I see it. We all see it. Now let's move forward. Now, the next thing I want to talk to you guys about, after we've established our brand name and we've established our brand promise, and we know what that is, now we've got to establish our brand look. So now we're on number 2. And remember, everything that we're talking about is going to be about the word of the live. And what is that? Consistency. All right. So we are now going to establish our brand look. This is one of the most important things that we need to do as entrepreneurs, period. But I'm going to say entrepreneurs because remember, we're going to talk about being children's book authors because that's my business. And I didn't steal that from Tabitha. It just sounds the same way, but I love her and I don't mind giving her credit, but I really didn't steal that. So when you are establishing your brand look, here's what you need. You need to have brand fonts. You need to have a brand face or a logo, and then you need to have brand colors. Now I'm going to give you some resources for establishing your brand colors and doing the look of your brand. Number one, you're going to go and get you a logo. Well, first let's start back. We're going to establish your brand font first. I think that's the way. When you look at your brand and when you see your brand somewhere and you envision it being written, what does it look like? That's where that font is going to come from. We're going to start this and practice this on a platform or on an app called Canva. I know a lot of people use Canva. It is one of the best tools, period. Okay, I am in marketing and on my day job. And one of the people that I work with in my marketing department was super excited about saying that they had spent all this money on Adobe Photoshop because, you know, we build websites for companies. We do brochures. I mean, that's all my day job. And so they were so excited about saying they use Adobe Photoshop. They now have come back and they are such a fan of Canva for $12.99 a month. If you're getting pro, but you can use it for free, it doesn't make any sense. It is a great platform. What I'm going to tell you as an entrepreneur is this is not an easy game, especially if you're starting from the bottom. This is not something that you join and you talk to me or you talk to anybody when you establish your brand about what you can't do. We have to remove that. So I don't care your age. I don't care what you're going through. If you are trying to do something, I would suggest Canva. I'm sure there's other things that you can use, but I suggest Canva. You need to do what it takes to learn how to use this platform. You need to do what it takes to learn how to participate in it, to create content on it. It is super helpful. So you can go on canva.com, you sign up, you can go on there and take the tutorials. It is your job to make sure that you learn how to use this platform to help push you forward. So I'm going to preach that to you because, as you know, I do consultations for different people. One of the biggest struggles at first for a lot of the people that I do consultations for, which is why I'm spending so much time on this, is they don't know how to use Canva. But most of the time, they're not trying. They get on there, they get discouraged, they feel like they don't understand it, and they use it as a roadblock. I promise you, no matter how much you pay me for consultation, how much I keep trying to help you, I'm going to preach to you that you need to decide for yourself that you want this and learn how to use this program. Otherwise, you're going to be outsourcing something that can cost you nothing for a lot of money. So Canva. Let me want to help you with that. Now, here's why this is important. Canva is where you can create your own logos. You can also go to Fiverr or Upwork and have your logo created. Now, I will tell you, I did a mix. This is my brand's logo. Ain't she gorgeous? That's Doe. That's my signature character. But that is my brand logo, okay? That logo was created on Canva for $20. $20. And it is all over. It is mine. I made sure I did that. But that is where I created my logo at. However, once I got on Fiverr and I had that created, I was able to go on Canva and go from there. When I took that logo, once I had it created, I went on to Canva and I was able to then click it, and Canva will give you all the swatch colors, your exact colors for your brand. The way that worked, and I wouldn't do it that way, looking at it backwards. I would not have bought the logo first without picking my colors myself, but it's fine. It worked out for me, but I would suggest you do it the other way around. But anyway, when I was able to go on there and click on Canva, Canva will tell you exactly what your swatch colors are. I guess that's what they're called. But you get your actual number. What that means is even if I'm not using Canva, I'm using any other marketing tool and they're asking me what my brand colors are, I have the exact numbers to put in to make sure that the colors that they give me are my exact brand colors. That is so cool. So that keeps me what's the word of the live? Consistent. So I've established my brand color. Believe it or not, the human mind is able to do a lot of things that you don't know that it's doing. It doesn't always talk to you. When you show somebody the same exact color over and over again, that same exact hue and swatch, they will start to associate it with whatever they keep seeing it with. So because I have my exact swatch of brand colors, hear me, this is psychology, and they're always put together the same way, and I'm consistently posting with those colors, people automatically, before they can read their mind, before they can read the content or the post, they automatically know that is a post from me. Because I have consistently posted with those exact swatch colors in front of them on a regular basis, and they understand that when they see that, this is going to be her content. Do you see what I'm saying? You want that. That is a part of establishing a brand. To give you an example of that, McDonald's. McDonald's, when they use their red and their yellow arches and they put it together in a certain way, even if you tweak that shape a little, even if you change the words in McDonald's, your mind at first flash before you read is going to say McDonald's. When you see a certain font on a building with big, thick black and white stripes on it, for those of us who use makeup and constantly go to Sephora, before we read, our mind tells us Sephora. This has happened to me on a regular, multiple times where I've passed the shop, what's the word, when you're not thinking about it? I passed a shop subconsciously, and I saw colors in my mind subconsciously and told myself that this building has this shop. Drove all the way to that building on an occasion where I was looking for it and got there, and that wasn't the building. But the problem was I wasn't reading. My mind had just told me. I knew that building was there because I was associating what my mind in a flash was seeing those colors were and what that brand meant. And it ended up being something totally different. So I'm saying that to say that's a good thing. You want to program people to follow you, to know when they see a certain amount of colors together in a certain way that is you. You want to establish that. That's how Coca-Cola does it with that red color and those white swirls. That you can spell my name, you can spell any name in that way, but when you see it, you think of Coca-Cola. So that is why that's important. So the next thing, you establish your fonts, you establish your colors, and then you establish your look. Now, Canva is where I told you to give you an example of where you can go and get your swatch colors for. As far as fonts go, you can use fonts from Canva, or you can get your own fonts for free. Where you can get free fonts from is a website called www.dafont.com. So it's dafont.com, and font is spelled F-O-N-T. Okay, so dafont.com is where you're going to go and find a bunch of free fonts that can be downloaded. Another free font site for you to get to claim for your brand is called 1001 fonts, and that's literally what it is. It's like 1001 fonts, and I'm assuming they have 1001 fonts. That's what I'm assuming. So you can use those to get your fonts for your brand. So you want to go on and do look at those as well. Canva will allow you with a brand kit to upload your specific fonts. This is why when I do my posts, I am typically within my 3 fonts that I need when I establish a brand. Every brand to me should have 3 fonts at least. Depending on your brand, you may have more. I wouldn't get into that, but we're going to get into numbers in a bit, and I'll tell you why. But 3 fonts at least. So my brand has my headline font, it has my subheading font, and then it has my copy font, or the font that all of my paragraphs and things go through on my website, so on and so forth. And I do that for consistency. So that is how you need to choose your font. And again, I have an influencer that I want you to go to get more information about this on YouTube, and it is free. Her name is Taylor Made It, and she has 3 core videos that took me 2 weeks again to get through as I was establishing for myself. And it may not take you as long as it does me, but I study things and I focus on them. So that's kind of how I ended up being on there so long. But Taylor Made It, and she's going to teach you about branding. She has one for branding. She has one for building your website. And there's 3 of them I use. I use her branding, building your website, and creating a logo. And this is all done on Canva. And she shows you how to do it step by step. Each of these videos are anywhere from 30 minutes to an hour long. So you can definitely go on there and look at those as well. So that's another jewel for you. So that's for establishing the brand. And then again, like we said, the logo. Your logo and your face of your brand. When people see a certain logo, here's one of my logos, they need to then establish that that is you. Once you establish your logo and you know what that is, do not post to me, especially when you are establishing your brand. Do not post anything. Do not appear in anything without your, the name was Taylor Made It. So it's TAYOR_MADE_it. But I'm gonna find it for you and make sure I post it. But she is an influencer on, she's probably on IG. I don't even know, I should follow her. But I know she's on YouTube, and I follow her on YouTube, and she gives out all the free jewels, like all the free jewels, okay? And she has where you can buy her stuff. After she tells you how to do it, you can just purchase it if you don't want to. I'm not that type of person. I want to do my own, but you can do that as well. So, Taylor Made It. But you go on there and you establish that. So once we've established that, you need to make sure that you do not post. You do not post unless it has your brand name and your brand colors on whatever you're posting. I don't care what you're posting. If you noticed, I posted a Black History post. Y'all forgive me. It has been a rough month. I should have posted that well before now, okay? I will take that hit. I do apologize. But anyway, if you go on my page, you will see I posted a Black History post on my page. The Black History post that I posted, though, I posted it in my colors. I don't care what I'm talking about. It is going to be in Fawn Fable colors because that is my brand. I am still in the process of establishing my brand. Therefore, I will not appear, my brand will not appear unless it is in color, in font, so that you know who you're dealing with. I think that can be done across the board. People may disagree with me, so on and so forth. It doesn't matter. It's what I'm doing, and I can tell you right now, it is working. So make sure that if you are going to show up anywhere and now you've established your brand and you've established your brand look, you don't show up anywhere without looking like that. Now, here's a step further for me as an entrepreneur. I do not show up anywhere without wearing my brand in public. If I am not on the clock at work or at an event that causes me to be after 5, and that's only because I haven't figured out how to put my brand on after 5 attire, or anything else, I don't show up without my brand on. I don't show up without a bow on. I don't show up without my brand name on. You're not going to find it. I am very serious about establishing who I am and making people know more about my brand. And so as much as people don't realize it, if you consistently show up that way, people will Google and start to look at, who is this girl? How does she always show up with a bow on? And then when people talk about me, if they can't remember my name, the girl with the bow on. Somebody remembers me that way. So this is a part of me, again, establishing my brand, my personality as an author, all of that. Like, I am very surgical with this. But you don't have to be that advanced yet until you establish yourself and what you want to do. But these core things, as far as showing up in brand, I think that is super important and you must do that. Okay. Oh, I've also had the question, where do I get my merch? I share everything with you guys. My merch is actually on my linked tree on there that you can buy it, and I get it from Teespring, and you can buy it from there and support me. I would love that. But you can establish your own Teespring. You can look on there and do that. I also get merch from somewhere called CustomInk.com. Custom Ink is kind of expensive though, y'all, but use that if you want to. And I also use Promotique. Promotique is Vistaprint's custom clothing kind of line too, and I use them. So yes, girl, surgical with it. Oh, that's my boo. I just realized who you are. Listen, there's another entrepreneur on here, and I love her, and she is on here supporting me, girl. Yes. So yes, you have to be consistent with your brand because you are trying to establish who you are to the world now. So that is number 2. Number 1, we're claiming our name. Once we go through the steps that we talked about earlier for claiming our name, number 2, we establish our brand look. Once we've established our brand look, we do not show up to the function, no matter what it is, in public without being on brand. We don't post without being on brand. We don't show up without wearing our brand. We don't participate unless our brand is championed. Fair? Okay, so that's number 2. Number 3, here's the big one. I know y'all thought those were big. This is the big one. Now that you've established your brand, you've established your look, the third thing you're going to do is you're going to convey your message with content. All right? Because remember, we're talking about how do we establish our brand on social media. Okay? So now we're getting ready to, yes. So now we're getting ready to, y'all read your comments in there. Now we're getting ready to establish conveying our message with content. So if you are new to social media, it's not your thing. You don't even know how to do it like I did. You're a deer in headlights and you don't really know how to establish your brand though, not your personal, with social media. I'm going to give you what I consider my hacks and the best way to do it in my opinion. You can always leave more in the comments, but this is my live, so anyway, here's the way I think you should do it. Number 1, you're going to go onto social media and you're going to find 5 to 10 influencers of your industry. 5 to 10 major influencers are people who are doing what you want to do online in your industry. You're going to find them. I'm going to tell you this. Anytime as an entrepreneur, and I really believe in my brand and I want to do something, and somebody says, I need you to find 5 to 10 or something, I'm going to find 11. That's number 1. That's one of your first rubrics to judge how serious you are about what you're doing. Do not go with the lowest. However, 5 will work. But I need you to realize this stream is about you. It's going to do as much as you do with it. So, like I said, if I'm telling you 5 to 10, if you're a smart person, find 11. That's my thought. But anyway, you want to find 5 to 10 influencers doing what it is that you want to do. They look like what you hope one day your page and your brand will look like in the future. It doesn't have to be exactly, but they're in your niche. They're doing what you want to do. Okay? Once you find those 5 to 10 people, you now need to go through their pages and you need to select 5 to 10 videos, posts of all kinds that you like, that speak to you the most, that relate to the brand and the message that you're trying to convey. Follow me. These are steps. So you're going to go first find your influencers. Then you're going to go down their page. Then you're going to stock them in and separate and find 5 to 10 posts per influencer of what you want your brand to look like. Okay? Now that you've done that, you can screenshot those. You can save them on your computer. I don't care how you do it. You need to do it. You need to locate them. Once you locate these pages and these things that speak to you, you're going to look at each of these posts. Yes, this is work. This is work, but I'm telling you how to do it so it will work. You need to look at those pages and those images that you've pulled to me, and you need to figure out why you like those. What are each of those things that spoke to you so much? Because you're only pulling out the top that spoke to you. Any true influencer of an industry has tons of posts. So if you only pulling out 5 to 10, you're going to pull out the ones that speak to you the most. You don't have to do the whole page, but you'll know when you see ones that speak to you the most and they relate, remember, to your brand message, brand promise, so on and so forth. That's the other thing, because they're in your industry. So they should align with what you're trying to do. Okay? Once you've established that and you know what those things are, now you're going to go take from those items everything that you like. You're going to put them in your own words. And then guess what we're going to do? Remember when we established our brand colors and looks and fonts and things? We're now going to go to Canva and we're going to reinvent those items that we liked and we pulled on Canva in our brand colors, looks, so on. We're going to usify it. I always call it, when I'm talking to somebody, I'm doing consultations, I'll say, you need to youify those. But since we're on here together, we're going to usify it. So what they said, which was awesome, we liked it, how they said it, we're going to put it in our own words, we're going to make it look like us, we're going to put it in our brand, and that's the post that we're going to post, okay? So You're going to do that. Once you get that done and you've got your logo on every single post and it's in your own words and so on and so forth, you should end up with anywhere from about 20 to 50 kind of posts or post ideas. You don't have to do them all at once, but at least have that list of what you want to do and set up and do at least 10 or 20 or so of them to me. I'm just being honest. Do a few of them. Post them all at once. Because remember, we're just starting on social media for our brand. So you probably don't got a lot of friends. You might have the 5 people that's following you because you haven't posted. We hadn't posted yet. Upset they might leave. That's okay. Go ahead and post those. Post all of them. Not all of the ones that you did. You don't have to do all 50, but do at least 10. Do at least 10, 15 posts. I'm going to explain to you why you do that. So once you've done that, they're in your brand colors, you posted them. Here is some extra tips to the tip, okay? When you're posting these things, I want you to post them in different ways that will cause you to get engagement. Number one, you need to post them in quote form, okay, with your brand, with your logo. You need to post them in question form. What do people think about this? Whatever the thing is you like for them. You need to post them in compliment form and encouragement. Whatever encouragement you want to hear as an entrepreneur in your niche, post that in compliment form to everyone on your page. Okay. All this is going to be relating to your brand and your brand promise. And then you're also going to post them in what we say, tip. We did quote. We did post pictures. You can put them in image form. You also want to go on and get in front of people and be on live and do some thoughts on this and ask some questions and introduce yourself and that kind of thing. So these are the ways that you want to go on, and those messages that you wrote down and you put in post form, you want to do them in those different types of ways to get engagement, to get people give them something to interact with, so on and so forth. Okay. Let's talk a little bit about consistency again. In this regard, when you're doing content, I think that you need to pick numbers. I'm very big on picking numbers and being consistent even with that. I have chosen the numbers 3 and 5. You will notice about me anytime that I'm giving a speech, anytime that I am posting something, I'm giving a tip, you will notice that it's either in the form of 3 or 5 typically. You're going to constantly see, when you see my page, it'll say 5 tips for, because 5 is my number. A lot of times if I'm saying, hey, I want to talk to you about something, or I want to ask you about something, or if it's something I need to elaborate on, typically, because this is a long line, I'll do 3. The reason why you do that is you want to establish buy-in and the attention span, get the attention span needed for your message from your new audience. When you are first establishing yourself with your audience, they don't know you. They don't have a reason why they should listen to you, and you're trying to give them one. So it's easier to tell a person, hey, let me give you 3 free tips, because number one, 3 is something that's easy for them to remember, and you said the word free, and they're tips for them and they're interested in your niche. I'm going to listen. I can remember those. 5, the same thing. 5 is another thing that is easy for them to remember. Okay, so I can remember those. I can do that. So they know that they're going to get those resources. Now I've got people that have confirmed with me, that follow me, and they look forward to my 5 tips, my 3 tips. They know what they're going to expect from me. And they've already made mental room for me to tell them that amount of information. So they read my whole post. They watch my whole live. Do you see what I'm saying? But that starts with being consistent and giving them a number. So I would say, to make things easier for you, I would choose your numbers that you want to operate with. So for me, when I establish my brand has 3 core values. Remember, I started off the live by telling you that. The core values of my brand are, number 1, teaching children how to celebrate their differences together. Teaching them teaching them about self-love and self-acceptance, and helping them enhance their critical thinking skills. I can run those 3 off at any point when I'm talking to people about what my brand does, what is my brand promises, what is my brand about. Do you see what I'm saying? So you want to do that as well. So now that we've talked about what you want to do, we've done 3 things. We've talked about establishing your brand. We talked about getting your brand look, right? You claimed your name, you've got your brand look, and now we've conveyed your message that we talked about. Once you created your brand promises and all that through the YouTubes and everything I gave you before, once we've done that, we've conveyed that in post online, okay? Now we're ready for the next big thing. Now that you have that and you've got all your posts set up. Oh, also, I also want you to remember, you need to make sure that all of your links are connected everywhere that they can be connected. And I meant to say that in number one, when you're establishing your brand and you're setting up your page, you want to make sure that you have, if the platform allows you to put in your link for your books here, everywhere that allows you to put in your link to buy your books and to quickly get to whatever you're selling, that needs to be there. You don't need to miss an opportunity to sell your product. So for me, I have my links for my books in all of my highlights. They're on there. They're in my link tree. They're on my website. They're anywhere that you're going to find me. I am confident now to tell people, if you Google my name anywhere and it pops up and you click whatever that is, a link to get to my books is going to be there, and it's going to be easy to find. You are going to have no trouble buying my books. Test me. And if you feel like, oh, it's a little difficult here, tell me that. I'm ready for the feedback so that I can get better, because I know there needs to be an easy link to your books to wherever it is you're selling them. Keep in mind, people don't know you. These are strangers you're talking to. They're not really caring about what you look like. They don't want to sit up and read your message. I'm not saying don't have all those things. Just don't have all those things first. First and foremost, anywhere you are appearing or you're at, you need to be able to find and locate what you're selling first. And then information about you. Okay? So, I think I've told this story before. When I first did my website, and on my website, there was big pictures of me. There was all kind of information about me. There was things I like to do. It was just me. And at the very bottom, real small, you can see the links to the books. And let me tell you, I sold very little when that was the case. The moment I changed that and I flipped that, and as soon as you go to my website, you know that you're on the website because I have it big there. I have it where you can subscribe. I have the name so you recognize it and you know that's what you're looking for. My logo is there first. Right underneath it, big, huge pictures of my books and how to buy them and how to click them. First thing. Everywhere. When you go to the top of my page on IG, you'll see my link, my link tree. And in my link tree, they also have the individual links to the book on top of my website link on there. Then when you go to my, like I said, my highlights, each highlight has the book and a link to click to the book to buy the book. Because I want it to be easy. That's what it's about. That's why you're on my page first to me, is to get what I'm selling. So I've given you how to do that. Then you can go down to my page and you can learn about me and get things from me and stuff like that. So that is important as well when you have your page ready. So now that I've given you all that information, and your page is ready, you've got everything. I want you to think of it like a, like an amusement park, okay? You're getting ready to introduce your brand. It's your grand opening online. When you're establishing your brand, especially in the age of bots, and I know if you're an author, you know what I mean with these bots. You want to make sure you don't look like a fake page trying to friend people. They want to make sure you don't have 3 followers and asking them for their Cash App. So if you have a page that is strong and consistent with message and consistent with brand, and then now you start, which is the fourth part of what we're doing, is we're going to start to follow people and invest in them support-wise. That's the fourth tip is to follow people now in your niche and invest in them support-wise. When you do that, they are now going to check, of course, who is following me. It's like knocking on somebody's door. Before I open it, I'm going to look in the peephole. What they look through and see is important, but we have already established a strong brand. We've established what it is that we do. We've given tips. They've seen our face. Do you see what I'm saying? We're consistent. They have something to say, oh, okay, I like this. Let me follow this person back. Does that make sense? So this is why it was so important that you started off with a good amount of posts. This is why I did not want you to start off with one post, one this. I wanted you to have a group of that so that people could see what it is that this amusement park has. You don't want people to open up and come to your page and you telling people you got a grand open of amusement park and you got one ride, one restroom, you got one concession stand. We're not staying here. You played me. Like, that's how they feel. So this is why I think that is very important that you have that. So please, if you're new and you're establishing how to sell your books and get to people, then you want to go ahead and set yourself up on social media like that. Now that you've started following people and you're doing that and you're going through that, the next thing you're going to do is you're going to start to compliment people. Yes. In order to get, you're going to give first. Do not get on social media once people start following you. Hey, buy my book. Hey, I'm so glad you followed me back. Buy my book. Don't forget to buy my book. Hey, you know I got a book, right? You gonna buy it? That's stressful. That's stressful. And people don't like that. People don't like that. And you learn that they don't respond to that. But if you go on there, because remember we talked about your brand promise. We talked about what your book does, what problem your book solves. We're going back to the book, and we said that the Black History Month book is about sharing and giving information and being kind, okay? We go on, and all of my posts consistently say, oh my gosh, toddlers do not share at the age of 2. Here's some helpful hints to get your toddler to share at the age of 2. So on and so forth. You do that. And then you, every now and then on your post, this is my book that I wrote about sharing at the age of 2 and how you help that. This is what I'm doing. This is how people start to say, okay, I like her page. I like her. I like the brand. I like that book. I like the free information I can get from that book. It helps me. It lets me know I'm not the only one thinking this. I'm not the only one going through this. You know what? I'm going to support this book. I'm going to buy this book. I'm going to share this page with other people that should buy this book. Do you see what happens? People start to support everything that your page is doing outside of just buying your book. This is how you make money, because to be honest, book sales as an author to me are not going to bring you most of your money. You may not know that, but that may not be where most of your money comes from. For me, and maybe it's how I set myself up, it definitely is not where my biggest bread and butter comes from. My biggest bread and butter comes from those who want to support me because I wrote books. So when they go to my page and they realize I'm a resource for a lot of things that they're trying to do, they like my message, they look at my page and they constantly, believe it or not, try to find different ways to support me, which is why I can sell people merch, which is why I can sell them my books, which is why I can sell them my consultations, which is why I can sell them my speeches, which is why they ask me to do keynote. I get paid for those. There's a lot of things that I've been able to do from my books because they now see me as a resource. But I did not get on here. Well, I did at first and it wasn't working, so I don't want to lie. Just saying, buy my book, buy my book, buy my book, buy my book. That was stressful. They didn't like that. They didn't take to that. So I want you guys to stop getting on here and thinking to yourself, I'm on social media every day. I tell the people to buy the books. They don't listen. I get on there. I got the book in my hand and I'm like, look at it, buy it. That's nice. That's great. But what have you done for them lately? Okay, what did you give them? So this is why step 4 is so important. When you first get on here, don't be like me and just jump on here hollering about buying books. Get on here and establish what it is that your problem that you solve, why you're an expert at that, what are the resources that you've looked up outside of your books that help with that, and then also put your book in there. For the people who are in your personal network, put them to work. This is when you figure out who's really in your network, who's going to help you. Don't come in my face talking about, oh, I'm so proud of everything you're doing. How can I help? Bet this is how you're going to help. You're going to go on and you're going to give me reviews. You're going to read my book. You're going to support it online. So why that happens is because the people who know you, that are in your network, that are doing that for free, they're getting a free copy of your book. They're your support team. They're giving the people who are interested and kind of thinking about supporting you a foundation. they're going to go on to your website and they're going to see the reviews or whatever it is from those people who said that they were, supposed to help you. And then they're going to also align with the message that is on your page. Did you follow what I did there? They're going to align with that. So your inner network and the people you know, again, those are not going to be where most of your wealth comes from. So don't get on here being scared and frustrated that out of all your friends, you got 50,000 friends and nobody's buying. That's probably not where your money's going to come from. Your money is going to come from strangers, people you don't know, but you give a lot to. You've become a resource to them for your message. The only way to do that, though, is to be consistent in your message. You've got to be looking at them and figuring out what do they need and why does your book answer that question. And you're going to continue to put that in their face on a regular basis in a way that is palatable for them. Green eggs and ham, I love to use that, okay? You need to figure out, no matter where they are, how do you make them like this? And you have to do it over and over before they realize that they need to taste it. And then once they taste the green eggs and ham, if you know the story, oh, they like it. They'll eat the book in a boat. They'll eat it in a float. They'll eat it anywhere it is because they finally tasted it. But look at what you had to go through to get them to taste the green eggs and ham. Consistency. You must be consistent. So if you're asking me for free, because like I said, I do the consultations. My consultations are $50 an hour to help people. I help them write their books. There's a lot of stuff I help them do, and I'm being a terrible salesperson right now. But because that's not the goal of this. I'm working on that, though. I should be selling at every point. I know. But my point is, don't come to me to ask me to help you, and you're not doing these basic things that I'm telling you about because I'm doing this for free. I'm telling you for free what you need to do. You must be consistent, okay? So if you don't have time to post every day, then you need to find the day that you do have time and you need to create, like we just did, those batches. And once you have those batches and you've got all that content that you can create, and once you start with that, it's like riding a bike and you know how to do it, you'll be able to develop your own things in your own way. But if you need to go through again and go back through other influencers and take content and you'll fight it, if you need to do that until you can start to come up with your own, by all means, do what you must do. Stock your content and then make sure you're posting consistently daily, okay? So you're following people, you're complimenting them first, you're giving them encouragement, you're supporting them first, you are welcoming them into your network. These are strangers that you don't know, and this is how you are going to start to establish and build your brand and your network, okay? This is how you're going to start to get people to start to buy your books, to talk about your books, to champion you and your brand, is by making sure after you've established it, you've made it look nice, you've set it up, you've put content. When you're following them, you give them a safe space and you're a positive resource for them. All right? So that's what you're going to do next. Once you've done that, and you figure that out. Oh, and let me give you some specifics. I just realized that. I'm just saying this in general, and that might not be. So here's the specific, and it won't take me long. For me, my books are aimed at children anywhere from 2 to about, from anywhere from about 2 to about 8. That's where I think my books land, and that's pretty much what I'm seeing. So because my books are from people from about 2 to 8, and I'm a new children's book author, number one, I go on and I follow a lot of the main leading influencers of my genre, okay? I'm a little person, they don't know me, they don't really follow me back, and that's cool. I'm fine. I'm taking their content, so it doesn't bother. So I've got them. Then I also follow other children's book authors. Anybody who's a children's book author, because a part of my dream and what I'm trying to do is to be a leader in my industry. To be able to lead in my industry, I have to be recognized in my industry. To be recognized in my industry, I have to be able to network within my industry. So I follow children's book authors like crazy. There's a lot of children's book authors that go on here and they say, hey, the biggest mistake I made when I first became an author on Instagram is I follow other authors. They're selling their books too. That doesn't help me sell my books. Nobody's buying books. I'm just following authors. I can't speak to that because I've had a lot of authors buy my book. I've had a lot of authors champion me. I have a lot of authors that are in, I just did a book follow thing on there and I'm still learning them, but a book following host, The young lady who did the host, I believe she is in Australia. She's in Australia. There's some people in Canada. So I'm talking about across the world. I love the fact when you go onto my Amazon and you look at my reviews, they tell me I have global reviews. But that's because my network is global. That's because the people that I'm talking to in their network is global, because I reached out to them and they're telling people about my books, and they bought my book, they champion the books, and so their friends are buying them and leaving reviews. Hello. Okay. So I'm saying that to say, I personally cannot get on here and tell you don't follow other authors, because it's not that. I can't speak to that. If this is your niche, to me, you need to be following people in your niche. Okay. That's my thought. But the next thing, though, is because my audience is also children from 2 to 8, I go on and I follow kid book places, like anything that says children's books or children at the park or black kids lit or black kids playing or whatever. Anything like that says children, I follow. And I go on and I actually take my time after I follow these pages. I go through and I like a bunch of them. Like. And I go, I mean, this took time, but I put the effort in because I'm building my platform. And I'm liking. What I learned, again, because I'm a children's book author, and that's what my niche is, that's what I'm going to tell you about, because that's my business. When I go on and do that, 2-year-olds aren't running their Instagram pages. Do you follow me? 8-year-olds typically aren't running their Instagram pages, but their parents are. And their parents are seeing this author going on there, liking their pages and supporting and giving good comments when I'm first establishing. And they're saying, hey, who is this person? And then they go to my page and they see what content I have and they like it and they buy it. And they buy my books. Because I've been liking their pages. I've been supporting their pictures of their little one. I have side conversations. I do. And that is the niche that follows me. Those are the people that follow me. So now, if you're in my niche and you're following me, you're either an illustrator, you're a children's book author, you are the parent or a children's page. It's so much stuff because I made sure that that's who I started to follow. And the way Instagram works is the algorithm will then attract to you what it sees that you're constantly interacting with and what you're after. Do you see how that works? And so it starts to feed me the audience that I need. And so I start to sell books that way. So follow people, so on and so forth. That's how you do that. And the fifth and last tip, okay, is going to be always find an opportunity to be a part of the conversation of your industry. And if you do not see the opportunity to be a part of the conversation of your industry, create it. I did this when I first started. When I first started, I wanted people to recognize me as an author. I wanted people to know what I had to offer. So because of that, and you know I rhyme, that's my thing. I do everything with rhyme, so don't, that just comes out naturally. But because of that, and I wasn't known and nobody knew who I was, and I had like 300 followers, I found some people that I was doing step number 4 with, that I was talking to, and I said, you know what? Would you like to interview me? I need to learn how to work on what I'm going to say when I am interviewed, when I am, famous, and I want to get better at my craft. Will you interview me? And these people said, sure. I sent them the Zoom link. We did a full interview as if I was somebody, because in my mind I was, as a brand new author. You can go to my YouTube and see where they're like, I don't even know what I'm doing, but I'm going to ask you questions. And I answered those questions as if I was on 2020 to the best of my ability. And I did multiple interviews, and I still do multiple interviews that I set up. The reason why I do this is because I wanted to be the part of the conversation. And each one of those authors that interviewed me, they were so excited to be doing that too. And I asked them, they shared the interview with people that they wanted to see it. Do you see what I'm saying? And so slowly but surely, after practice of doing that, the word spread. Because of the interviews that I created myself, there was a group that saw me and asked me to do a real interview. And I've done so many now. Because they were like, I watched your interview actually because I have all my links connected. They actually saw me on Facebook, but my Facebook and my Instagram is connected. And you know how I say, all my stuff, once you get to me once, you can go straight through my whole thing. They were like, I loved your answers. I love what you're doing. Will you come on and speak on our show? Of course. What? Yes, I will. I don't mind if I do. And so after that happened, more and more people started to see me. More and more people started to be buy my books. More and more opportunities started to come to me. And it grew and it grows still from there. And so because of that, now I am on my live on Sunday for about an hour and some change, giving out what I consider to be free game about my niche because I want to continue that growth. Do you follow what I just did? So my point is, do not get on here and get defeated and tell yourself, I don't know what to do. I'm giving you, from what I've seen, to be a foolproof plan of how y'all know what I'm doing here. A plan on how to get yourself started, how to get yourself set up. And more than anything, if you do not see opportunity to sell your books, create it. Create it. Figure it out. Do it for yourself. Envision where you want your book to go, though. Know what your message is and be consistent. Be consistent. If I can't teach you anything else, if I can't tell you anything else, be consistent, okay? And I love being consistent because being consistent lets everyone know what you are a resource for. And I promise you, your life will be so much more peaceful as a person if you are consistent. Because people start to know exactly who you are, what you're a resource for, and whether or not they want that. Once I started to be consistent and honest with what I was, who I am, and what I'm bringing to the table, those were the things that I naturally attracted. And people always talk about it's a law of attraction, but the truth is, it's because people are now clear. They're not confused. You know that if you're going to come and you're going to waste or you're going to spend time with me, it needs to be valuable because you know how much I value my time. And you know that what I find valuable with my time based on my message is if you're talking to me about my books, talking to me about your books, talking about book growth, talking about advancement of women, you're talking about networking, anything that has to do with the things that I speak about here, you know that if you want to impress me and get my attention and spend time with me, you better be along these lines. You also realize, though, based on how I speak and how I'm carrying myself and what I do consistently, that I'm probably not the person to come to and gossip about. I'm probably not going to feed into that. And if you didn't know that and you come to me and have tried, because again, I'm consistent, I'm going to put a real hard stop to whatever it is you brought me if it has nothing to do with the things that I mentioned in the forefront. There's a lot of people who may not like that. I'm cool with that too. There are people who establish, I don't like her. She thinks she's better than me. Whatever you got from that, that's fine. But I also blocked whatever you were bringing that had nothing to do with where I'm going and what energy I'm trying to put out. Be consistent. That's what being consistent will do for you. But if you're halfway being a children's author this day, then you're representing something else with your brand this day, and you do. People don't know what you represent, and to be honest, based on your behavior, neither do you. You need to be consistent in whatever it is that you're putting out. So I know that I've been on here a while. I wanted to share this with you. I pray that this was helpful to somebody. I hope that somebody watched this and thought to themselves, I learned something today. But if there isn't anything else, I'm going to go on here and ask you guys. You guys have been great for listening. Are there any questions that anybody has for me? Does anybody want to jump on here and join me on live to talk about their books and brainstorm or share other information to help people? Please put a request in for the live, and I'll add you real quick, and we can just talk about it and go through some things. Anybody want to jump on here with me or ask questions or anything? Anybody? Hazel, I see you giving me a lot of hearts. You trying to get on here? Just say yes in the chat, and I'll add you. Anybody? Miss Kiana B. Ryder, you gonna jump on here with me? Come on and jump on here with me. Let me see if she's still there. Love these tips. I know as authors we love to write and engage with kids, but you have to treat it like a business too and to make smart decisions. Yes, yes, that is very, very, very true. Okay. Just here for the info. I'll do a live with you later. I support that. I support that. All right. So yes, I mean, hopefully, like I said, I thank you so much for telling me that you enjoyed that. That was my goal, though, is to share, and to encourage and to be a part of you guys' network, because I have a lot of authors that, as they get opportunities, believe it or not, they will share them with me in my DMs. They'll be like, hey, I got this opportunity to submit my book, and I thought of you, and I want you to submit your book too. That touches my heart, y'all. That lets me know that they realize that we all can win. I do not believe in competing with authors. I think that is the worst thing. I think that when you're competing on a racetrack, sure. When you're competing in anything, in other arenas, of course. When we talking about our kids, we talking about our funds, we talking about the future of America, I don't think there's no competition. I wrote a book. You write a book. I don't care if it's the same message, different message. Do whatever. I want you on a bookshelf right next to me. I want you on the same, schools that I'm at. I want you the same libraries. Like, I'm not competing with you. And there's a lot of times people say, yeah, but there's only a limited amount of books that they can have for black authors. And we need to change that. Let's inundate them with books. Let's make our books super relevant. Let's make it where they can't say that these books aren't needed. And so that way we sell our books so much that they're saying, hey, this book is popular. And then we will go ahead and put it, we need to go ahead and get it. Like, I don't want to deal with that whole thought of competing. Like, that stresses me out. Like, I don't like that idea. Plus, I also believe whatever is for me, baby. And you couldn't get it if you tried. Just like whatever is for you. And I couldn't get it if I tried. So I aim towards my own goals. You should talk about stage fright, though. A lot of writers are uncomfortable on putting themselves out there. Okay. Yes. So, man, if you have been following me at all, when I first started this journey, I was very terrified of getting on camera. I was terrified of getting on camera because I had self-confidence issues. As you can see, I have a gap or a few gaps. And I have a lisp, and I also dealt with, just feeling like I was a little too heavy to be on camera. I'm watching Selling Tampa. I'm looking at how these women look, and I'm like, these are women that should be on camera, not me. But what I will tell you, and if you go through, I know it's a lot of time, but if you go through my YouTube, if you go through my early page, you will see me overcoming that stage fright with you. I did that alongside you every day, and I forced myself to show up every day because my dream and what I wanted was so much bigger than my fear. And I knew in my mind, and I told myself in my mind, that there was no way that I was going to accomplish what I wanted to accomplish unless I put my face out there. I could contract out logos. I could contract out content if I needed to. But nobody was ever going to deliver my message with my passion for me the way I was going to deliver it. Nobody was going to do that because they don't feel it the way I feel it. It's not important to them like it's important to me. They're not going to connect with people the way I'm going to connect with them. So I had to get to a point where I got comfortable, and I decided that I was going to do this. The way that I got comfortable on camera is, number one, I figured out when do I appear my best self on camera for me? And a lot of this is about doing things that don't necessarily make sense to other people, but it's important for your own security. So what I had to do is I had to play with makeup, with different makeup. I had to play with different filters. I had to practice, not on live, but just on camera, repeating to myself. And out of all of the takes and the things that I did before I even came on camera to you guys, I had to choose what I felt like I could consistently, remember there's that word again, get what I consider my best look on there. I realized, okay, this makeup combination for me is my most comfortable. This filter is my most comfortable. This volume is my most comfortable. I would like if I showed up camera better with my brand in the background there. That way I could feel like I was in uniform and I wasn't personally on there and it wasn't about me. Like, I had to do a lot of things that made me comfortable so that I could show up here for you the proper way. And then I had to just do it. I had to just do it and do it consistently and expect and tell myself, for those who don't like it, hopefully they'll step forward and we can just see how bad it is. Because right now I'm making it up in my head about just how bad it can be. So I've got to figure it out, just how bad it can get. So I had to put myself on camera. And once I had taken the time to do my confidence, and you don't have to go through all that, but I'll be honest about my flaws, I did. I needed to put on the right amount of makeup. I needed to get comfortable with my lisp. I needed to record myself repeatedly because I also believe I sound like Batman. I really do. And I think that that's not hot to sound like a man. But I had to get over that. And I had to figure out where and how I felt like my best tone was and get comfortable talking to cameras. And so I did that day in and day out, and on days that you guys don't see. And one day I'll probably post some of these videos. They'll be real embarrassing. I'll wait till I'm a little more rich. Like, I'm not rich right now at all, so you guys have a while. But I will post some of those videos and show you what that process looks like. But I'm saying that, yes, people who are meant to gravitate to you will, absolutely. But I'm saying all this to say, yes, we have fears, but fears can't be an excuse, loves. It can't. Your fear can't be bigger than your need to reach your destiny. Your gift has to be more important. Your gift has to become at all cost. You have to be able to establish this legacy for yourself at all cost. And that's going to come along with personal vision. I know that my personal vision and what I feel like God has given me the gift to do and a purpose in doing is to reach people and to bring people together and to help other people birth their gifts and tell their stories and encourage and lead the youth. These are things that I've come to terms with. I ran for years, and we can talk about that another live. But I've come to terms with it. I've decided that that is what I'm supposed to do. And so once I accepted that as my calling and my purpose, I could not allow fears, and I cannot allow fears to stop me from doing what I'm supposed to do. I don't feel comfortable. So a part of doing that too, though, just to let you know, is you've got to accept whatever you think your calling is and you've established like you're going to do. And then you've got to surround yourself with it. Okay, just like we talked about attraction and how Instagram will, once you keep going around and keep following the same type of person, then Instagram will start to feed you those type of people because they now understand from your consistency of what you've been doing that this is what you like. So this is what they're going to give you. Realize that that's what people do every day. Instagram, HBO, Netflix, all these algorithms that once you watch one thing, that's all they send to you because they realize that you're interested in that. Hey, I'm going to feed you that. That's the same way that the universe and people work. So I had to start attracting and being around people that mirrored the goals that I said that I had. I didn't like to speak on camera, but I also had to be around more people who were influencers. I had to start to follow more influencers. I had to start to involve myself with people in person when I would network. I had to start putting myself out there with other people who clearly networked, who clearly were on camera all the time. It was new for me. It was uncomfortable, but I needed to do that so that I can follow some techniques and I could see some things, and I caught on quickly. So I will say that whatever fear that you have, whether it's being on camera, whether it is speaking in front of people, you've got to figure out what's the worst part of that fear. What is the biggest part of that anxiety? What do you face, whatever you think the worst thing could happen? And then you've got to figure out just how realistic that is and then start to do that thing. Like for me, I have a huge fear of bugs, and I know it sounds nuts, but I have a huge fear of roaches. And so the moment that I think of a roach touching me, in my mind, that roach is not only going to touch me, it's going to touch me and inject my body and then put a bunch of little roaches in my veins, and they're going to come out of my nails, and I am going to be a roach person, and it is going to just take over everything that I am, and I'll never be anything else but just roached out. Like, that's what happens in my mind. I just wanted you to see how ridiculous my anxiety is. But that's how far I let it grow. That's just, in my mind, how bad it gets. It's ridiculous. But I'm saying that to say I had to get to a point where if I need to go somewhere, and if I need to go to the bathroom, I'm somewhere where I am in a dire straits and there could be roaches there, I had to look at that fear and be like, that is not realistic. That does not mean I'm not so scared. But whatever that outrageous thought that I had about it was, it's not that. I'm not gonna be instantly vein pregnant from roaches because one touched me. That's not real. But in my mind, that's what's happening. I'll be honest. You have to feed yourself and figure out just how big your anxiety gets and why. Why is it that big? And what can you do to start to face that if that thing is standing in the way of whatever your greatness is? Because 9 times out of 10, whatever you're in fear of when it comes to your destiny, it's probably the one thing that's on the other side of the door of your greatness. And you have to want that much to where you say, you know what, I'm going to go through with this, and I'm going to survive this. And when I survive this, I'm going to reach back and I'm going to help others survive this. I'm not the only one that is scared of this. And I'm going to make sure I document everything that I do as I get through this so that I can pull them through as well. So I think that is how you, to me, deal with fear. You don't do it all at once, you know. I'm not saying go, if you're afraid of roaches, pick a roach up and pet it. That's not the thing. I wouldn't suggest that. But I think that I think you take it step by step. And so if speaking on camera is your fear, speak on camera to yourself repeatedly. And then start to show it to people. And show it to one stranger. Make it a goal. If you do a bunch of camera lives to yourself for 4 days, pick one stranger each week to show it to and get a reaction and live through it, survive it. and keep going from there. But I promise you, if you align yourself with like-minded people while you're doing this and you're facing fears, that same encouragement that I asked you in step 4 to give out to other people, they'll give you back. Because again, like she said, you're aligning with people who, you know, you're attracting people who are on your same path. And that helps. And they want to see you win. These are strangers too. Most of the people on here, my mama not on here. Like, you guys are, there's not one family member. I think Lena might be on here. There's one person I think may be on here that knows me personally. Other than that, I've never met you people. And all the love, if you look in my comments, oh my gosh. Same, thanks for opening up about that. And so glad we get to see your beautiful face and hear your important messages. You see that? I don't know who Blooming Rose Kids is. But that is what this is about. That is what happens when you face these fears. There may be people on here that want to talk negative about you, but you will have 10 of these people to those one negative person, that one negative person mostly. So I would suggest that you do it. You align yourself with people in your niche that are going and where you're going, that are attracted to what you're aiming for. And you hold hands and go forward, man. That's what my thought would be to do this. But I know I'm talking out of death. Does anybody have any other questions for me at all? Anything else you want to ask? Anything else you want to say? Anybody want to join with me? If not, I'm going to hop off and let y'all enjoy y'all Sunday. But as usual, this live will be available. I will leave it up. Watch it. Take notes. And, oh, I told y'all to remind me. Y'all fake. I got to remember to put the names of all of those YouTube influencers and the YouTube videos that you need to follow under this. So because it won't let you do links on here, I'm going to only probably be able to put the people's names and describe it in the comment after this when I post this. But please, please, please go through and watch those. And those are the core YouTube videos that really help me to establish my brand and establish myself and figure out, help me to figure out to get to where I am on Instagram now and still growing. Okay. So yeah, we'll do more lives. There's a lot of other subjects that we need to cover. And if you guys want to send me subjects to cover, I'll cover them. If you want to do lives together covering a subject, I'm down. I'm just here to earn my spot in your network. That's important to me, and trust me, I'm gonna make you earn your spot in mine. So make me earn my spot in yours. If there's something that you need me to do because I'm in your network, I will do it. If it's mine that I have, like, let me do that. It was great to co-host follow with you today. And yes, post the influencers. Yes. Thank you, Miss Ryder. But yeah, I'm going to go. Y'all have a great day. Love y'all. Bye.